Hey, I'm Tom from Peak Fitness. Today we are going to do the quickie version of learning the kettlebell swing. I always advise if you want to learn the kettlebell swing really properly to do so one-on-one with a coach, but here are some really quick little drills that you can do to put yourself in a good position to swing effectively and efficiently while avoiding injury. So our first drill, we just want to find our stance. We're going to stand with our feet a little bit wider than hips width distance apart. I like to put my hands on my hips. I'm then going to push my hips back so I get maximal hip flexion. My knees are going to bend really generously, but my shins are going to stay vertical. So my shins are perpendicular to the ground. You should feel the back of your legs load up. From here, the bell will be about 12 to 18 inches in front of my feet. I can then grab onto the kettlebell. I'm going to inhale and hike the bell back forcefully. As I exhale, I'm going to let it float forward like this. And I want to make sure that I can keep my hamstrings loaded up, keep my legs in the same stance that whole time. Okay, great. So if we can successfully do our kettlebell hikes, now we can move on to what's called the single swing. The single swing is where I'll do one kettlebell swing and I'll completely reset the bell. So I like to think about doing it as sets of one rather than one set of five sets of one. So I'm going to find my same stance, right? Feet are a little bit wider than hips width distance apart. Shins are vertical. I'm going to grab onto the handle of my kettlebell, and now from here I'm going to inhale and hike it back. But once the bell gets back here, I'm going to find my forceful exhale. I'm going to drive down through my feet to get vertical, which will then cause the bell to float. The bell will then float back down, and I'll completely reset. So I'm here. So here's the big thing. We never raise the kettlebell with our arms. Alyssa, what do we never do?
Raise the kettlebell with our arms.
Correct. The kettlebell floats as a byproduct of the force that I generate here. So I'm driving down, and that's what causes the bell to get in the air. So the rhythm of the kettlebell swing after our single swings is a little tricky, right? When we start to rep out swings, a lot of people, they want to send their hips back while the bell is up. It's easy to get all out of sorts, and then we lose the effectiveness of our swing. So something we can do to help with the rhythm of our swing is to take a handy dandy towel. We'll then rotate the handle of our kettlebell so that the handle is parallel with your feet as opposed to perpendicular. From here, I'm going to loop the towel through the handle, and then I'm going to grab onto the towel. I do want to grip a little bit closer to the handle of the kettlebell. I don't want a ton of slack in the towel. From here, I'm going to inhale and hike the bell back. I'll exhale, and then I just want to keep the bell floating this whole time. I do not want the towel to get above my chest. So the towel stays low below my chest and the bell just floats. The tricky part is waiting for the bell to send your hips back for you. It's really scary. We see this heavy object is heading down towards our reproductive organs. We're like, oh my gosh, I gotta get out of the way. Nope, we want to catch the bell with our hips. The bell sends your hips back. Now I just drive down, create another arc, and the towel does not get above my chest. So one more demonstration set here. Just like that. So now that we've got the rhythm of our swing, we can lose the towel, rotate the handle of the kettlebell so that it's perpendicular with your feet as opposed to parallel. And now you should be able to swing. Nothing changes, right? It's the same exact movement. Am I raising the kettlebell with my arms? No, because what do we never do, Alyssa?
Raise the kettlebell with your arms.
Correct, right? So it's still all about the force, and I'm just letting the bell float. I do have to be violent through my legs, really aggressive, but then I just let that bell float back down. So that's a really quick, easy way to learn how to do the kettlebell swing. If you want to make it even more efficient, you should for sure work with a coach one-on-one.